Hey guys, it's Kaz here, and today I'm doing my October wrap up. I read a bunch of things, and randomly I actually read quite a few like horror-y books. Imagine that, in October. It's just not normally a thing I do. So normally I go through the books in order that I read them in the month, but this month I'm just going to go through the Gothtober prompts because I was doing Gothtober and I did all the prompts. Let me just show you my journal page first because I think it's really fun. So this was the page that I came up with, and it has this little case file, and it's got some of the things that I chose. So for Gothtober there was like a fun game you played. So the location I did was summer camp, and the weapon was a Swiss Army knife, and the survival was the satellite phone. If you know, you know. If you don't, you probably don't. But yeah, it was a fun game. Plonking back in there, and then here you open this up, and here's the case file. And it's got all of the prompts on here, and I just have a lot of fun coming up with this, so I had to show you. But let's get started. So the first of my prompts was read a gothic mood read, and for that one I read Hannibal by Thomas Harris. This is the third in the Hannibal Lecter series. Very much enjoyed this. I didn't think I knew stuff that was going to happen, but then I did know stuff that's happened. So here's the thing, I've never watched the films of Hannibal Lecter, whatever. So I thought, oh, I probably won't know much about what's going on. But I have watched the TV show. So excuse me, watch. But I have watched the TV show. So some of the characters I sort of knew at least a little bit. So I was kind of in the story before I even needed to be in the story. But yeah, also just randomly, not even about this book, I haven't watched like the last 2 or 3 episodes of Hannibal. I don't know why. I never got around to watching like the last 2 episodes. Why? I don't know. But anyway, yes, this book was really good. I really enjoyed it. I've really enjoyed all of these books, to be fair. It's like something that I don't reach to, like adult thrillers. It's not a thing I reach for. And every time I read one of these books in this series, I'm pleasantly surprised, happy, very much enjoy it. I think it also helps that there's like 100 chapters in here. All the chapters are like 2 or 3 pages long, so it's like really quick, and like you digest the story in a really fun, quick way. But yeah, Hannibal Lecter. Most of this one is not even about Hannibal Lecter. It's more about Mason, if you know, you know, and him doing all the stuff. And Clarice and all them, you know about it. It's Hannibal Lecter. The second of my prompts was read a book by a comforting author, and for that one I read Grey Warren by Maggie Stiefvater. So this one I have feelings, I have thoughts, but I don't know how or where or why. So let's just get the elephant out of the room first. I didn't enjoy this as much as the other 2 in the series. I know some people have just not enjoyed this series in general. I see on Goodreads people rate them like 1-2 stars. But I really enjoyed the first book in this series. I gave it 5 stars. The second book I gave like 4.5 stars. This one, it's more like a 3.5 to 4. It's weird because I don't know how I wanted it to end. I don't know where I wanted it to go, but it just didn't feel like this was it. But also I wasn't mad at it. Like, it was fine. I enjoyed it. There wasn't enough Ronan. It's literally his series, and a lot of this book we're following the other characters in the series, who I also really enjoy. Like, I'm a fan. I know some other people from the get-go of the first book in this series were like, I just want Ronan, I don't care about these new characters. I do genuinely really enjoy the new characters in here. But that doesn't mean I don't want more Ronan, you know, because it is actually his series. So I was a bit disappointed about how the lack of Ronan in the final book, in this final chapter of this whole world, starting with the Raven Boys. But I liked it, I enjoyed it. But yeah, I have very mixed feelings about this. It's a very weird one for me. And as you can see, I'm not really saying much about it because it's like the end of a series, but it's also the end of a series that's also attached to another series that if you haven't read that, then you won't know about stuff, and then stuff happens in this one. So yeah, I did like it. I liked sort of the throughout we was getting little snippets of backstory from his parents, which I really enjoyed, like them going to the farm and him as a child, like the brothers as children and how they grew up and stuff. So I really enjoyed that, getting to know their like the past family a bit more. And yeah, it's a weird one, it's hard to even describe, but I did enjoy it. But we needed more Ronan. So yeah. The next of my Gothtober prompts was read a book with a blue cover, and for that one I went with The Walking Dead Volume 22, A New Beginning, because like the title's in blue and you got blue bits about. But like I read this many Walking Dead volumes, so let's just talk about all of them in one go. So I read from 18 to 24. 18 was a reread because I looked on Goodreads and it's been like 3-4 years since I read it, which I don't know why I left it so long, because I've literally had all of these the whole time. And then the only reason I stopped at 24 is because that's how many I had, because I've been really enjoying it. Like, I don't know why I waited so long to carry this series on, and I really want to get the rest of it and finish it off, because randomly and luckily, where I've stopped at 24, like, the next compendium of all of them together is the rest of the series, so I'm probably just going to get the compendium. But yeah, The Walking Dead, I'm sure you know, zombies, people, zombies are bastards, people are bastards. Throughout this sort of section, we've got the whole Negan thing. I'm sure you know about it, whether you've read this or seen the TV show or just seen memes or whatever online. We get the whole Negan thing, and then after that there's like some really interesting new developments in the whole thing. And yeah, I don't want to say too much about it because, like I say, it's volume 18 to 24, so if you don't know about the series, I don't want to do the spoilers and stuff. But yeah, I actually really enjoyed it. And like I say, I don't know why I left it so long. Let me just grab one to show you the artwork in here, because that's what I like to do when it's sort of comic-y or graphic novel-y or manga-y. Let's just find a page. Hopefully it's not too spoilery. But it's like this. It's in black and white, this series is. So yeah. There we go. A lot of The Walking Dead. Very October vibes, am I right? The next prompt was read a helpful or handy non-fiction, and this one is not the October vibe, but I read Joe Lycett's Parsnips Buttered. This is non-fiction, of course, that was the prompt. Joe Lycett is a comedian, and he does a lot with like emails and trolling big companies and sending silly things and doing silly stuff. So I really enjoyed this. Some of the bits in here, because it's like him going through all these different things, it's portrayed as like a pretend self-help book, like, oh, if you do these things you'll succeed, but also not really, because it's just him taking the piss out of stuff. Some of the bits in here I have seen him talk about in stand-up, but also some of them I hadn't seen, so it was a nice little mixture of little favourite bits that I already know about and then bits that I have not. So yeah, it was a good time, genuinely funny, genuinely made me laugh sometimes. At one point I was sat at work on my break and I was reading it and it made me laugh just out loud, and it was really, really childish as well. It was like a picture, because at the start of each chapter there's a little picture, because he also draws. Hello, do you want to focus or nah? Come here. Yeah, there we go. Can we? There we go. So there's like these little pictures at the start of each chapter, and they're just really, really silly. Let's find another one. So yeah, I'm gonna try and find the one that I laughed at work out loud, because it's extremely childish. Okay, I even highlighted it because I highlighted a few things. So this is what I saw at work and then laughed, and then one of my co-workers was like, what are you laughing at? And then I had to show them. I was like, I know I'm a child, but it made me laugh. So yeah, it was a good time. Also, randomly, if seeing that highlight in there made you feel physically ill, I have a video about that, about highlighting non-fiction books if you want, and it'll be up there. The next prompt was read a book by a BIPOC author, and for that one I read The Taking of Jake Livingstone by Ryan Douglas. Spooky vibes, you see? October, am I right? So this is a YA supernatural thrillery horror-y type book. In it we follow this character and he can see ghosts, and then there's this one ghost who's the ghost of a serial killer, and then he's being really malevolent towards him and like trying to, well, he wants his body because he wants to do more killings and that. So yeah, I enjoyed this book. It wasn't the best. I feel like some things could have been done a little bit better. There could have been a bit more characterization, that's not how you say words, characterization for like some of the secondary characters. I felt like they should have had a bigger part. And then just some of the things that happened was just like, it was just a lot. I was like, right, calm down, give it some ebbs and flows. It doesn't have to just be like bang all the time. So yeah, I did enjoy it though. I think I gave it like 3.5 stars. I liked it. It was a fun time. Yeah, and the ghost was a rape bastard. So yeah. The next prompt was read an LGBTQ plus book, and realistically this book and the last book I talk about could be interchangeable with both of these, because I read Honey and Issues Guide to Fake Dating by Adiba Jagadar. I read this whole book in the airport waiting for my train. So I went on holiday in October, and then I got home at like 9 o'clock in the airport, in Stansted Airport, and then my train home was at like 6 o'clock in the morning. So I literally just sat and read this whole book and then read a bit of another book. It was a fun time though. It's nice to just sit and like consume the whole of a story all in one go. So yeah, I really enjoyed this book. It was really good. It was sweet, it was a fun read, it was a quick read. I think it does a trope that I'm not a massive fan of quite well. So a trope that I'm not a massive fan of, and I will talk about when I eventually do my 10 tropes I don't like video, which will come eventually. I did my 10 tropes I like video ages ago. They were meant to be a pair. It hasn't happened yet. But anyway, one of the tropes that I'm not a massive fan of is like when the friends of one of your main characters are just absolute knobheads, but like you're meant to think that they're friends and you never see them being friendly, you just see them being a knobhead. But in here I think that trope was done really well, because it kind of showed how, was it Hanny or Issue? It was Hanny. Yeah, so it kind of showed that Hanny was a bit of a pushover, and she let her friends dictate what she wanted to do, what they wanted to do, and she didn't really know how to say no and stuff. So it was done in a really good way. I really enjoyed that whole aspect of the book. And yeah, it was just really cute. There was like, one of them's a sunshine beam, one of them's a grumpy bastard. You know, we love that. We love that together. I just really enjoyed it. So definitely want to be picking up all of Adiba's books, because I've read 2 of them now and I very much enjoyed both of them. I don't know, there's one that's like about a Titanic, something like that coming out, so definitely will be wanting to read that. The next prompt was read a book with disability rep, and for that one I read The Amazing Eddie Eckhart by Rosie Jones. This one, oh my god, it's so shiny, look at it. Whoa! So yeah, this is a middle grade. It's about Eddie Eckhart, who has cerebral palsy, so does Rosie Jones, and also it's got LGBT rep in here as well. Rosie is a lesbian, and in here like the teacher talking about having a wife, but also Eddie herself is like, she thinks she wants to get a boyfriend, but does she, sort of thing. But yeah, it was nice. It was a fun time. It's a middle grade. It's the start of a series as well. The next book is out, and in here it's all about her being an actor and joining the school play. It's also about her doing stuff for herself. So she has this best friend who they've been together forever, and then they go up to secondary school and they're in different classes, so she has to sort of deal with the fact that she can do stuff on her own. She doesn't have to just like play the card, as it's said in here, play the cerebral palsy card. She can just do stuff. So yeah, I really enjoyed this book. So we're about halfway through, so let's just head on over for a message from one of the Sponnies, and then I shall be back with the rest of the books.
Something that I really loved, like I think she's quite a complicated person. I think there's a lot going on psychologically. But yeah, oh my god, like she's got some amazing takedowns of people. Just like...
Do you have a favourite line?
Oh my gosh.
There are plenty.
Yeah, well, okay, don't quote me on this, which is exactly what you're here to do.
So the next prompt was read a book with blood in the title or on the cover. And for that one, I read Nail Biter Volume 3 and 4 because, luckily enough, number 3 is called Blood in the Water and number 4 is called Bloodlust. So they both work for that. This is a series about this town where loads of serial killers come from. So new serial killers will be popping up and then people are like, oh, they're from that town again. There's like a bunch of them. And then it's a mystery because why do all of these serial killers keep appearing from this same town? Is there something going on there? And it's about these detectives going to check it out and trying to find out the mysteries. And also one of the main characters in here that's like kind of is trying to help the detectives, but also is he bad, is he not bad? Is Nailbiter, who is one of these serial killers, but he managed to get not guilty at trial. So it's like throughout the series it's like, is he helping, is he hindering, is he the good, is he bad, is he doing stuff, is he not doing stuff? So yeah, it's a really good time. It's gory, it's really interesting. There's still a bunch of mystery, but we're also finding out some stuff this far into volume 4. I think there's like, I can't remember exactly, there's not like crazy a lot because some series go on for ages, but I think this one is like maybe 8, something like that, volumes. So yeah, it's a fun time, and let me just find a bit of the artwork for you so you can see what it's all about. Here you go, this is what the artwork looks like in here. So the next prompt was read a book with an isolated setting, and for the first few days of the month I still had my Kindle Unlimited, so I read Hotel Volume 1 and Volume 2. This is a graphic novel, and it's about this random hotel where if you go down the road you can't see it, but then if you can see it you go there and you're probably not going to come out again. And it was really cool. So the first volume, I really enjoyed the first volume. The second one wasn't as good. So it's different stories, like 4 different stories, but they're all overlap and it like mingles together, and throughout the whole thing there's a narrative of the guy that runs the, well, it's like a motel, not a hotel, runs the motel, like talking to somebody. So yeah, it's just done really well. In the first volume I thought all 4 of the stories were really interesting, really creepy and really good for what it's trying to do, and the way it all came together was really cool as well. So for example, you'll read one story and in the background of it some weird stuff will be happening, and then in the next story you're reading their story and then you'll see panels from that story in here, so now you know what's going on there. So it's like really non-linear and really cool and really interesting, and it was gory and weird and fun and scary. And then the second volume, it tried to do the same thing, but it just wasn't as good in my opinion. I didn't enjoy some of the stories as much as the first one, and I didn't enjoy the overarching narrative as much as the first one. So it's still the manager of the motel telling a story over the top of it, but I just didn't find it as interesting as the first story that was told over the top of the first volume. I hope that makes sense. It might not, and I can't show you the artwork because I don't have it. It was there, it was on Kindle Unlimited, and I'm glad I read it because yeah, I did think the first one was really cool and really interesting and weird and creepy and all the good stuff. And then the last prompt of Gothtober was read a book with a training montage or scenes where they train. That's not the exact wording. The exact wording is read a book with a training montage or extensive training. Nearly the same. And for that one I read The Smoke Thieves by Sally Green. Does this really fit for it? Probably somewhere in here they would have been training. So this was a reread because I have the 3rd book in this trilogy on my 2022 TBR. Finally actually got around to rereading the first book, and in here we follow 5 different characters, and one of them is a princess, one of them is a soldier of the princess, and I feel like he probably trained at some point in here. There's another one who is a servant to a different king in a different kingdom. There's another one who is a bastard prince, and there was a little bit of a training thing in here because he didn't know how to fight, so they're trying to show him how to throw a spear, so that counts. And then the last is Tash, who is a young girl who hunts demons and gets their smoke, and that's why it's called The Smoke Thieves, because demon smoke in here is like a drug. So you kill the demon, the smoke comes out, you bottle it, and then you sup on it, and then stuff happens. So yeah, it was a reread. I enjoyed it again. It's been a few years, so obviously I remembered the overarching themes and that, but as I was reading it, it was fun to read because I couldn't remember a bunch of the stuff that happened. But yeah, I'm currently rereading the 2nd book of the series as well right now, so I can finish it off. So yeah, it was a good time. Speaking of Sally Green, how many people have watched The Bastard Son of the Devil himself? Because Half Bad is one of my favourite series ever, and the TV show is quite different, but I also really enjoyed it, so surprising. Watch it, it's really good. So those are all the Gothtober books, but wait, there's more. I read a few other things as well. So another thing I read when I still had the Kindle Unlimited was Goliath Girls. This was 5 issues, which makes a full volume, so they're all like 25-30 pages long, and I enjoyed it. The artwork's really poppy and fun, and it's about what's the word? I can't remember what the word is, but you know, like the massive monsters, like I can't even think of his name now. Big lad, like Pacific Rim, big lads, like flipping him, Godzilla, can't remember the word, but them in this place, and then they go around and then there's people that have to stop them, and then we follow a team of girls, and yeah, it was a fun time. It's hard to explain because I can't remember the word, but yeah, you know, the big dudes, the big massive dudes, the Mothras of the world, whatever they're called, can't remember, but it's them. Yeah, I liked it. It was good. I also read Poisoned Apples by Christine Hepperman. This was a bunch of poetry. I gave it like 3 stars. Some of them I enjoyed, some of them just felt like blah, like nothingness. It's kind of like think fairy tales, but also make it about eating disorders, if that makes sense. So it's talking about heavy topics, and some of them I think it did really well, but some of them I just thought like, this is just boring, or this is blah. And there was like different ways of the poems happening, so some of them, like I say, I thought were really well done, but then others, like the tone of them just felt weird, or the way it was written, I just wasn't a fan. There's also like pictures throughout and stuff with the words. I thought some of the pictures were really cool and creepy. Hello, do you want to focus? Ava? Come here, you silly bitch. There we go. So it has the pictures as well as the words and pictures. Like, I'm not a massive poetry person anyway, so I can't really give you like the facts, the poem facts. But yeah, it was alright. It was fine. Some of the poems I enjoyed, some of them I just don't care about. It's fine. I also read Something is Killing the Children Volume 1 by 3 people. So yeah, this is the first volume in a series, and it's about something that, get this, it's killing the children. Shocker. Yeah, I enjoyed this. This was a recommendation and also a gift from Kat over at Brews and Reviews. I've seen her talk about it a bunch of times, so then I put it on my wish list, and then she sent it to me for my birthday, so very much thanks to her. And yeah, I really enjoyed it. I didn't expect to like see and know what was killing the children straight away. I was like, no way, we can see it. It's this cool weird thing here. But yeah, it's got an interesting storyline going on, there's stuff going on, there's some things that we don't know about, what's going on, what's happening. We'll find out eventually. But yeah, I very much enjoyed it. Let's just pop open this and give you a bit of the old artwork there. Here we go, that is a fun one, isn't it? But yeah, very much enjoyed it. I'm very much looking forward to carrying it on. And then the last thing I read was Lord of the Fly Fest by Goldie Moldavsky. I snuck this in at the end because it's got the word fly in it, and the buzzword-a-thon theme was animals in the title, so fly. And yeah, this one was a mixed bag for me. So this definitely brought me in from, the cover. The cover is the reason. I can't say it's a cover buy because I didn't buy it, but it was there and I could request it for free, and then I did because it looks really cool. But I wish it was darker. It's like a satirical take on influencers and people in social media and stuff. So basically it's like Lord of the Flies, but make it Instagram. I've never read Lord of the Flies, so I can't really give you much in that sort of sense. But yeah, it's a bunch of people that go to an island because there's this music festival, and they get there and there's no music festival, and they're just stranded on the island. And then all these people are like big into their social media, so they're all like, oh, how am I meant to look pretty, and oh, how are my followers meant to do, blah blah blah. It's like a satirical take on all of that. It's meant to be a dark comedy, and I just wanted it darker. I feel like the front cover looks darker. So basically our main character we're following is, what's her name, literally just read it the other day, Raffi, and she goes over there, she spends all of her savings to get the ticket to go to this music festival because she wants to interview one of the stars of the festival, because in his past his ex-girlfriend went missing and Raffi believes that he killed her, and she has a podcast and she wants to talk to him and find out that. So there's like this mystery weaved in. I feel like I wish that was more of it. Like it is it, but I wanted more of the darkness and more of the podcast. But a lot of it is just taken up by the fluffy, unnecessary, like vapid people being vapid. I would have liked a few more people, or a bit more characterization of the other characters in here. So for example, there is Peggy, who Raffi meets on, like, as soon as they land on this place, on this island. And from the start, I thought that Peggy was going to be a more integral or a more interesting character, but then I thought that they weren't used to their full potential. Like, they were put in this position and then sort of that was where they were the whole of the time, and I thought they could have been used a bit better. So yeah, we could have had like more than just one person with the head screwed on. We could have had two, but no. Just one. Raffi's the only person here that's just like a normal person. But yeah, I give it like 3.5 stars, I think. It was fine. I definitely wanted it darker. The cover definitely drew me in. It was all that. But yeah, that's it. That's the end of all the things that I read in October. So let me know down below what you read in October. Did you participate in the Gothtober or like one of the other 74,000 readathons in October? Let me know down below. And if you want to do that emoji thing that people like to do, is put an emoji down there from one of the books and then I'll try and figure out what it is. And yeah, if this is your first video and you enjoy it, please check out some of my others, and if you continue to enjoy, then please subscribe, that'd be awesome. Anyway guys, I will see you in a few days with another video. Bye.